Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you all. I believe everything's going well. Welcome to the Evergreen release by marketing on marketing management by Greg Marshall and Mark. And we're going to do marketing analysis, element of marketing, strategy planning, and competition, and everything that we're going to discuss here. This slides are not mine. This slides were produced by Margaret Hill. Margaret Hill owns all the rights thereof. They have all the rights, everything. They owe every single authority on this. Just using this for educational purposes by my affiliation with my college, Elite College. I'm walking through the slides, and anyone who is interested to listen can do so. It's a powerful one from Margaret Hill. Get the permission and then using it for educational purposes. Okay, let's go. Element of marketing strategy, planning, and competition. Learning objectives. Examine the concept of value and the element and role of the value chain. Understand the conditions required for successful marketing planning. That marketing planning is focused on the value proposition and that marketing planning is a dynamic process. Various types of organizational strategies. A situation analysis. So the concept of value and element and the role of the value chain. Understand the conditions required for successful marketing planning. Marketing planning is focused on the value proposition, and marketing planning is a dynamic process. You have to also identify various types of organizational strategies. You have to conduct a situational analysis, and then you have to look for the framework provided for marketing, along with the content and features of this. So all these must be considered. Okay. When we say value is a ratio of benefits. So value is a ratio of benefits to cost as viewed from the eyes of the beholder, the customer. Value is a ratio of benefits to cost as viewed from the eyes of the beholder, the customer. A benefit is some type of utility that the company and its products and services provides the customer. A benefit is some type of utility that the company and its products and services provides a customer. A cost may be financial. Time, opportunity cost, or otherwise. A cost may be financial, time, opportunity costs, or otherwise. So value is a ratio of benefit to cost as viewed from eyes of the beholder. A benefit is some type of utility that the company and its products and services provides the customer. Utility is the want. Utility is the want, satisfying power of a good or service. Utility is the want, satisfying power of a good or service. There are four major kinds of utility. We have the form utility. Utility is the want, satisfying power of a good or service. Utility is the want, satisfying power of a good or service. There are four major kinds of utility. We have form utility. We have time utility. We have place utility. We have ownership utility. So form utility, time utility, place utility, and ownership utility. Value proposition. Value proposition is the firm's communication of the unique value of its products to its customers. Value proposition is a firm's communication of the unique value of its products to its customers. Value proposition is a firm's communication of the unique value of its product to its customers. Value is at the core of marketing. Value is at the core of marketing. A firm's value proposition must be strong enough to move customers past satisfaction. So we say that a firm's the value proposition must be strong enough to move customers past satisfaction. So a firm's value proposition must be strong enough to move customers past satisfaction. So customer satisfaction goes to customer loyalty, goes to customer retention. Then it, so when customer is satisfied, there's loyalty, then the retention increases, and the customer will not switch to any other firm. So that is how the value of core marketing is. The value of core marketing is when there is a firm's value proposition, and it's supposed to be strong enough to move customers past satisfaction. And with that, we say that the customer satisfaction is when there is customer satisfaction leading to customer loyalty, which will promote customer retention, and at the same time, customers will feel reluctant to switch to any other firm, and that is very important. So always consider the value. The value chain serves as a means for firms to identify ways to create, communicate, and deliver more customer value within a firm. So with the value chain, you create, you communicate, and deliver more customer value within a firm. And then we say that it's created by Michael Porter in his classic book, Competitive Advantage. Created by Michael Porter in his classic book, Competitive Advantage. It's a useful approach for bringing together and understanding the concept of customer value, satisfaction, and loyalty. It's a useful approach for bringing together and understanding the concept of customer value, satisfaction, and loyalty. So the value chain serves as a means for firms to identify ways to create, communicate, and deliver more customer value within a firm. And this is more important. And that's so. It's a way that firms should consider their value chain and make it more effective and more standard, because the value chain serves as a means for firms to generate more income, because it creates and it communicates and deliver more customer value with it. So the more you deliver value for customers within the firm, you are creating the value chain. And as you create or expand the value chain, the firm becomes vibrant and better. So Michael Porter, in his book Competitive Advantage, talks about the value chain. And then we tend to concentrate on the useful approach for bringing together and understanding the concept of customer value, satisfaction, and loyalty. So a useful approach for bringing together and understanding the concept of customer value, satisfaction, and loyalty. And that is very important. So the value chain is created, we communicate it, and we deliver to the customer. Then we say that it's a useful approach for bringing together and understanding concepts of customer value. The value chain brings about a concept of customer value, satisfaction, and loyalty. Okay, so if you look at Porter's value chain, he says that the primary activities in every firm is at the base, and then he looks at the support activities at the apex, and then this is the margin. So in Porter's value chain, he says that every firm has infrastructure, and the infrastructure is just a support activity, and that is understandable, because the infrastructure alone doesn't create satisfaction for the customers. He talks about human resource management, where we recruit the right, skillful, intelligent minds to work, and also when we consider technological development, where technology is used to harness the skills and also the human resource to deliver customer value. And then procurement, the buying the rightful materials, purchases and all that, the supply chain activities and so all these are not what he sees as the primary activities in Porter's value chain. So in the value chain, Porter sees the firm infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, and procurement as these are needed for every firm to take place or to take off. But Porter rather sees them as support activities. Okay. Now, the primary activities. We say that the primary activities of every firm are the inbound logistics. Logistics is what we need, we depend on them to create, So operations that occur, the services that we render, the marketing and sales, the outbound logistics. So both inbound and outbound logistics, operations, marketing and sales, and so they, according to Porter, they are primary activities on the value chain. We'll take them one by one and then we'll look at them. So on the value chain by Porter, he thinks that the primary activities on the value chain should be inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. So that is what Porter sees as a value creating activity. He looks at the inbound logistics, looks at the operations, looks at outbound logistics, marketing, sales, and service as the primary activities for every firm. And he thinks that the inbound logistics comes first. Then it leads to operations, and then we have the outbound of logistics. Then it comes to the marketing and sales, and then the service. Now, Porter's value creating support activities. We have the firm infrastructure, we have the resource human management, we have the technology development, and then we have so you see, the firm infrastructure is built, we bring in human resource, there's technology development, and then they go to procurement. So that is the secondary value chain according to Porter. Now, planning for the value offering. Planning for the value offering. Planning for the value offering. Marketing planning is the ongoing process of developing. Marketing planning is the ongoing process of developing and implementing market-driven strategies for an organization. So if we plan in everything, and in marketing too, we plan. So if we are planning in terms of marketing, then what are we doing? In marketing, if we say we are planning, then it means that we are taking an ongoing process to develop and implement. So you don't develop, but you also implement market-driven strategies for an organization. So what are some of the market-driven strategies? These are very, very important because at all times we need to concentrate on the market-driven strategies and build on it. All the time we need to concentrate on the market-driven strategies of an organization and build on it. And that is very, 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 very important. That is very, 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 very important. So we've already looked at Porter's value chain that talks of the support activities and the primary activities, and he has already arranged them where it's such that the support activities, we say the firm infrastructure will lead to the human. After the firm is established, the infrastructure is put in place. Then we will now put in place human resource management, where we recruit, we staff, and then we employ the technologies that we need. Then we go on to procure whatever we need. Then the primary activities, he says that we would have the inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and then service. So inbound logistics, operation takes place, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. So these according to him, is the value chain. And now we've already talked about the marketing plan. The marketing plan is a document that records the marketing planning process in a useful framework. So the marketing plan is that document that records the marketing planning process in a useful framework. But the plan itself is an ongoing thing. It's developed and is supposed to be implemented. And it takes into consideration market-driven strategies for an organization. Okay. Now, when you look at the marketing big M, marketing, when we say marketing and then we use big M, the big M, it's just to say that we are talking about the driver of business strategy. So anytime we talk marketing in terms of using the big M, we are talking as to the driver of business strategy. But when we talk of marketing in terms of using the small m represents the specific programs and tactics aimed at customers and other stakeholder programs groups. So these are the difference. Anytime we talk of marketing and we're using the big M, it's just as a core driver of business strategy. But when we use small m in marketing, it represents the specific programs and tactics aimed at customers and other stakeholder groups. The common link between these two levels is marketing planning. So we have marketing planning, which is in the middle of marketing big M and marketing small m. The marketing big M is the core driver of business strategy. It's the market-driven strategies which are supposed to be developed and implemented in a marketing plan. And then the small m, which is the program document that has the tactics, that has the tricks that are aimed at the customers and stakeholder groups. So these two, the programs aimed for the stakeholders and the customers, and the strategies itself, then we say that the big M of marketing and the small m of marketing has a link between them. And the common link between the two levels is the marketing plan. Marketing planning. So planning is done to be developed and implemented. It is done to be developed and implemented. So that is how marketing planning works. It works between the strategy and the tactics aimed to the stakeholder and at the same time to the customer. Now we say everyone owes the customer. Everyone owes the customer. And that is true. Everyone owes the customer. So we have to align all internal processes around the customer. The top leadership has to set the tone, and it's all the time consistency. So there should be a consistent approach which is gelled towards always attracting the customer. So for instance, we say the crazy popular lollipop chupa chops creates products and ads that are clever and funny, but I don't think they do it without great marketing planning and strategy. So everyone looks at the market and brings a strategy. So that's why we say the marketing plan is a document, okay, that is supposed to be, that has the framework of blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to be used in the planning. But the planning we say is that it is developed and is supposed to be implemented, but that has the what? The market-driven strategy. You get what I mean? So that is why we say that these chupa chops, they don't just create it in the market, but they look at what exactly the customer wants and then the stakeholder preferences. Okay, now let's look at the condensed framework for marketing planning. The condensed framework for marketing planning. In marketing planning, we can look at the marketing mix strategies. We can look at develop market strategy. We can look at implementation plans and what have you. So now, if you want to ensure marketing plan, if you want to ensure the marketing plan is connected to the firm's business plan, including organizational level mission, vision, goals, objectives, and strategies. Ensure the marketing plan is connected to the firm's business plan, which includes the organizational level mission, vision, goals, objectives, and strategies. There is no plan that is empty in terms of not relating it to the business plan, the mission, vision, goals, objectives, and strategies. Now, we conduct a situation analysis, and a situation analysis is done at the macro level, external environment. We also do it at the competitive environment. We do it at the internal environment. We perform any needed market research. We establish marketing goals and objectives. And also, what we do is we develop marketing strategies. We develop marketing strategies. So, product market combinations is under the development of marketing strategies. So, product market combinations is under the developing of marketing strategy. We have market segmentation. We have target marketing position. So, under developing marketing strategies, you look at the product market combinations. So, just don't develop any products, okay? You have to get a strategy for developing your product. You have to look at the product market combinations. The product market combinations. What markets and what combinations will sell in the market? What combinations will sell at the market? Also, this is very, very important. That is the strategy. And also, we look at the market segmentation, target marketing position. You need to look at target marketing. Which products will sell for which consumers? Which consumers need which products? In terms of quality, in terms of even packaging, in terms of attractions, what do you do? So we do target marketing, and we do market segmentation, categorization, in terms of who needs what is good for who. And I remember there was a product, it was a soap product back home in my country, Ghana. That soap product, when they sell it to the rural areas, they have ways that they package it. It's less expensive there. They make it, so people could afford and stay hygiene. But in the city, this same soap manufacturing company, they add more value for their customers. So these are, so in terms of developing marketing strategy, you look at the segmentation, the positioning, and all those things. And that is it. But in the situation analysis, we say that the macro level, external environment, competitive environment, internal environment, all play a role in the situation analysis. And then we go on to talk of the marketing mix strategies. The marketing mix strategies. Marketing mix strategies. And in the marketing mix strategies, you see that in the marketing mix strategies, we say products branding strategies take place. Product branding strategies take place. We say that service strategies continue. Pricing strategies continue. Supply chain strategies continue. Promotional strategies, So we have marketing mix strategies. And we say that with the marketing mix strategies, the product branding, marketing mix strategies, we say that the products branding strategies take place. We say that the service strategies go on. We say that the pricing strategies go on. We say that the supply chain strategies go on. We say that the promotional strategies take place. That's very, very, very important. Okay. Then we also develop implementation plans. We develop implementation plans. Programs/action plans for each strategy, including timetable, assignment of responsibilities, and resources required. So there's forecasts and budgets, there's metrics for marketing control. We look at how we provide contingency planning. So if we develop implementation plans, these implementation plans, we say they are programs and action plans for each strategy and includes timetable. It has assignment of responsibilities, resources required, and we say that there's forecasts and budgets, metrics for marketing control, provide a contingency plan. Product branding and strategies is done at the marketing mix strategies. We say the service strategy, pricing strategy, supply chain strategy, promotional strategy are all done at the marketing mix strategy. So That's the marketing plan. How it's a condensed, how it can be condensed in a framework, and that is how it goes. So we have situational analysis that first goes at the macro level, competitive environment, internal. We perform any needed market research, establish marketing goals and objectives. Now we develop marketing strategies. And in developing the marketing strategy, we look at the product market combination, we look at market segmentation, target marketing, positioning. Then we look at the marketing mix strategies. And with that, we look at the price, we look at the service, we look at the product branding, supply chain strategy, we look at the promotion strategy, and then we develop implementational plans. We develop implementation plans. So in developing implementation plans, programs/action plans for each strategy, including timetable, assignment of responsibilities, and resources required. We look at forecast and budgets. We look at metrics for marketing control, and then you provide contingency planning. And that's very, very important. Now, if we look at connecting marketing plan to the firm's business plan, we said that we need to connect. Connecting the marketing plan to the business plan. What takes place? We often say that the process at the corporate or strategic business unit, the SBU, strategic business unit level of, we marshal the various resources and functional areas of the firm towards a central purpose around the customer. So if we want to connect the marketing plan to the firm's business plan, it's all about trying to, make sure the resources that we have available is just utilized with the customer in mind. You see, and anytime we talk about a strategic business unit, we say it's a relatively autonomous division or organizational unit of a large company. It operates independently. The central business unit operates independently, but within the corporate umbrella. Exercising control over most of the factors affecting its long-term performance. So it exercises control over most of the factors affecting its long-term performance, connecting the marketing plan to the firm's business plan. So market-driven strategic planning, it often describes the process at the corporate or strategic business unit level of marshalling the various resource and functional areas of the firm towards a central purpose around the customer. Okay. Connecting the marketing plan to the firm's business plan. If you want to connect the marketing plan to the firm's business plan. Now let's look. We do something called a portfolio analysis. Now, the portfolio analysis views the central business unit and sometimes even product lines as a series of investments from which it expects maximization of returns. So in portfolio analysis, we say that the central business unit sometimes view product lines as a series of investments from which it expects maximization of returns. So that is using the SBU, and which we've talked about the fact that the SBU is the strategic business unit, which is very autonomous and it's separated, and operated independently. And we say that they exercise control over most of the factors affecting its long-term performance. Okay, so it's over most of the factors affecting long-term performance of the company. And then we said that in portfolio analysis, we view the SBU, which is the strategic business unit, and sometimes even product lines, as a series of investments from which it expects maximization of returns. And then we know that the Boston Consulting Group, Growth Share Metrics, and then the GE business, they've all discussed the portfolio analysis. And portfolio analysis is just the strategic business unit that comes into line by looking at the product lines and looking at these as investment opportunities of which there can be greater returns, and that's it. Yeah. Then we have the Boston Consulting Group. We have the Boston Consulting Group. We have the growth share matrix. And with that, you see that when you look at the, for instance, this is an example of a portfolio. You look at this Boston Consulting Group, their growth share metrics. So you see the high, the stars, then we have the low, the cash cows. Okay, we have the dogs, and we have the problem children. So the high, the low, we have the competitive position ratio of share to share of the largest competitor. So you look at all these, and it's a portfolio, and then that is, we say that is the strategic business unit. They handle, they look at it, and they look at every product line. They look at the returns that can be made from every product line, and it's the strategic business unit is independent, and they make all these things. So it's very important that the SBU kind of helps in all these areas, because the SBU would help that, these are the stars. These are the stars. And then with the stars, we say that high interest, high investment, high shares, cash cow, an area, a product that has high shares but low investment. We have the dogs, it's a low area, low investment, low shares. This is where, there's a high investment, there's high investment, but there's low shares coming and interest and all that kind of thing. So this is the metrics. You have the stars, the problem child, the cash cow, and then that is the Boston Consulting Group growth share metrics. Now, if you look at this, see the business position. We say that business position, we have the high, medium, and low. Business position, we have high, medium, and low. And you could see that we have, in the business position, we have areas that are high, areas that are low. So in a business position, you have high, medium, and low. And I will look at that in that position. Now, we say that we assess the firm's ability to complete. We assess the firm's ability to complete. You assess the firm's ability to complete. And I will say that factors include organization, growth, market share, segment, customer loyalty, margins, distributions, technology, skills, patents, marketing, and flexibility, among others. So business position, we look at a high, medium, and low. And then we look at as to assessing the firm's ability to complete. Factors that includes organization, growth, market share by segment, customer loyalty, margins, distributions, technology, skills, patent, marketing, and all are very, very, very important. And that is the business position. Whether it's high, it's medium, and a low, we have to assess the growth indicators. And we look at organization, we look at the growth, we look at market share by segment, we look at customer loyalty, we look at margins, we look at distributions, technology, skills, patent, marketing, and flexibility, among others. Okay, now we say market attractiveness. We say market attractiveness, high, medium, and low. We say market attractiveness. We have high, medium, and low. For the market, assess size, growth, customer satisfaction levels, competition, quantity, types, effectiveness, commitment, and what have you. So for market attractiveness, we look at the high, the medium, and the low. For the market assess size, we look at the growth, customer satisfaction levels, competition, quantity, types, effectiveness, commitment. We look at the price levels, profitability, we look at technology, we look at governmental regulations, we look at sensitivity to economic trends. And these are very, very, very important. We look at the harvest and digest. We look at selective investment, we look at invest and grow. So these are very important. So when you look at the market attractiveness, you see this is invest and grow. So you see at this portion, the business position, you would invest and grow, right? This is selective investment. This is selective investment. So you look at whatever you want, and it's very, very important. You see, see, this is selective investment, right? Selective investment, but this is invest and grow. And then this is also harvest digest. So now, when you look at market business position, is that whether it's high, whether it's middle, is low, we look at the indicators like the organization, the good, the market share, the segment, the customer loyalty, margins, distribution, technology, skills, patent, marketing, and flexibility, among others. That's there. Then we look at market attractiveness, whether high, medium, and low. And this is the market attractiveness. This is the business position. Okay, that's the reason. And we say that with the attractiveness, we look at the market asset size. The asset size, we look at the growth. The growth, we look at customer satisfaction level. That is the market attractiveness. The asset size, the assets of the market. The asset size, we look at the growth. We look at the customer satisfaction levels. We look at competition. Competition. We look at quantity, types, effectiveness, commitment. We look at price levels. We look at profitability, technology, governmental regulations, sensitivity to economic trends, among others. So these are very, very, very important. So we look at the market asset size, we look at growth, customer satisfaction levels, we look at competition, we look at quantity, types, effectiveness, commitment, we look at price levels, profitability, technology, governmental regulations, sensitivity to economic trends, amongst others. And these are very, very important. So market attractiveness, and then we look at the business position as well. And these we say are very, very important. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do we say? We say that a firm's strategic business unit, it plans all the corporate functional level plans. The functional level at every department, the functional level plans are driven by the firm's strategic business unit, and from operations, marketing, finance, and the other operational areas. Okay, now the operational level executives of each strategic business unit are held accountable for the performance of their own business unit. The operational level executives of each strategic business unit are held accountable for the performance of their own business unit. And we say that the marketing plan is nested within the context of an overall corporate and or business level strategic plan. So the marketing plan is nested within the context of an overall corporate and or business level strategic plan. So that is it. So you see in that way. You see how the whole thing works, right? So the operational level executives of each strategic business unit are held accountable for the performance of their own business unit. The marketing plan is nested within the context of an overall corporate or business level strategic plan. Now that we know that the strategic business unit plans all incorporate functional level plans from operations, marketing, finance, and other operational areas. We also say that the operational level executives of each strategic business unit are held accountable for the performance of their own business units. So we say that the operational level executives of each strategic business unit are held accountable for the performance of their own business unit. And the marketing plan is nested within the context of an overall corporate or business level strategic plan. The marketing plan is nested within the context of an overall corporate and or business level strategic plan. That's the marketing plan. It's nested within the concept of overall corporate and or business level strategic plan. Now, see, we said the marketing planning does not occur in vacuum. Marketing planning does not occur in vacuum. So a mission statement articulates an organization's purpose or reason for existence. So every marketing plan does not occur in vacuum. A mission statement articulates an organization's purpose or reason for existence. Most mission statements also include a discussion of what the company would like to become in the future, its strategic vision. So a mission statement articulates an organization's purpose or reason for existence. A mission statement articulates an organization's purpose or reason for existence. Most mission statements also include a discussion of what the company would like to become in the future, especially its strategic vision. And that is very, very important. Now that we know that a mission statement articulates an organization's purpose or reason for existence, the mission is the reason for existence, the purpose. Why are you here? That is the mission. Then after the mission, we said that most of the mission statement also include a discussion of what the company would like to become in the future, its strategic vision. So mission is why am I here, and vision is what I would want to become. So I have arrived, I am here, but this is why I want to be. And that is the difference between the mission and the vision. Okay, let's go. Now, we have the organizational mission, vision, goals, and objectives. Organizational mission, vision, goals, and objectives. Goals are general statement of what the firm wishes to accomplish in support of its mission and vision. So goals are general statements of what the firm wishes to accomplish in terms of its mission and vision. The reason that the goals become refined into specific objectives. Goals become refined into specific objectives. So we have the SMART objectives. And we say the SMART objectives are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-defined. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-defined. And we say that the objectives at the corporate and the strategic business unit level provide benchmarks for assessing performance. And that is true. It is the strategic business unit that provides functional relevance. They do the functional assessment and then they provide the functional rules for all the other departments of it. So the strategic, they are autonomous, they are independent, then they exist to ensure that the right things are done. They even make sure that there's value to the customer and there are returns to the company. Now, when you look at a strategy is a comprehensive plan that states how the organization will achieve its mission and objectives. A strategy is a comprehensive plan stating how the organization will achieve its mission and objective. And then we say that a firm's generic strategy is its overall directional strategy at the business level. A firm's generic strategy is its overall directional strategy at the business level. So a firm's generic strategy is the overall directional strategy at the business level. And we look at it in terms of growth, in terms of stability, retrenchment. So in terms of growth, stability, retrenchment, and that is what it takes. Okay. Now, when we talk of generic business strategies, you see, anytime we talk of generic business strategies in terms of growth, we say that generic business strategies in terms of growth, we say that Organizations that do business in dynamic competitive environment generally experience pressure to grow in order to survive. So if you are an organization that do business in a dynamic competitive environment, you generally experience pressure to grow in order to survive. And we say that growth may be in the form of sales. We can grow in the form of sales, market share, assets, profits, or some combination of these and other factors. Categories of growth strategies include concentration via vertical or horizontal integration and diversification via concentric or conglomerate means. So that is very important, that we look at growth in terms of competitive environment. Growth in terms of competitive environment, and we say generally we experience pressure to grow in order to survive. We experience pressure to grow in order to survive. And we say that growth may be in the form of sales. Growth may be in market share. Growth may be in the form of assets. Growth may be in the form of profits. We say growth may be in the form of some combination of these and other factors. And we say that the categories of growth strategies include concentration via vertical or horizontal integration and diversification via concentric or conglomerate means. And that is very important. Now, when we say the generic business strategy, when we talk of growth, we need to talk of what? Stability. And stability in the terms of the continual current activities with little significant change in direction, which may be appropriate for a successful organization operating in a reasonably predictable environment. It can be useful in the short term, but potentially dangerous in the long term, especially if the competitive landscape changes. The strategy to continue current activities with little significant change in direction may be appropriate for a successful organization operating in a reasonably predictable environment. And I will say, it can be useful in the short term, but potentially dangerous in the long term, especially if the competitive landscape changes. Now we look at retrenchment, and we say that every organization, so these are the generic business strategies. So every business should look at growth, look at stability, and we should look at retrenchment. Every business should look at growth, should look at stability, and should look at retrenchment. Every business must look at these three. They are very important. And in terms of retrenchment, we say that an organization in a weak competitive position in some or all of its product lines can result in poor performance. So if the organization is weak in terms of competitive position in some or all of its product lines, and it results in poor performance and pressure on management to quickly improve and may pursue retrenchment. Now, essentially, retrenchment involves pulling assets out of underperforming part of the business and reinvesting in aspect of the business with greater future performance potential. So anytime we talk about retrenchment, what is happening? You just have to be wise. It's just the value of scale. And so with retrenchment, some people would even say that there's opportunity cost taking place. What do? Do you want your business to collapse? Do you want your business to die out? What do you do? So with retrenchment, we say that we pull assets out of underperforming part of the business and reinvest in aspect of the business with greater future performance potential. So sometimes you say, oh, people have been laid off, there's retrenchment, whatever. What happens is the business looks at its competitive advantage and invest more of its capital in those areas. It could be human capital, or it could be, the value chain. They look at where they stand better to gain. And then, so if there's layoff comes when there's retrenchment. And it just, you need to look at your strength and strengthen it tighter, grow, and then get back to, but whatever is costing you, what do you do? Yes, so that's more important. So every generic business strategy should center around growth. Every generic business strategy should center around stability. Every generic business strategy should center around retrenchment. So these are very, very important. Now, when we look at the organizational strategies, Three primary categories of competitive strategy are low cost, differentiation, and focus. Three primary categories of competitive strategy are low cost, differentiation, and focus. Now, look, we can say core competencies. Core competencies, that they are the activities the firm does well. So the core competencies are the activities the firm does well. These are 8 core competencies. Then we say the distinctive competencies. The distinctive competencies. So the core are the activities that the firm does well. The distinctive competencies are core competencies that are superior to competitors. So you see, when you, for instance, when you take iPhone, okay, Apple, and you look at their brand, and then you look at Samsung or Android, for instance, Samsung, look at their brand. You see that core competencies that are well defined, these are the activities the firm does well. And you see that for Apple, they have their core competencies. But there are some distinctive competencies that makes Apple superior to its competitors. And you know, every year they release a new version, add more features to their pre-existing, and you know, the model would be brought earlier, they would advertise it, they would allow customers to. So you know, all these are very important. So organizational strategies, we don't say it's only competitive in nature, but we say we have the core competencies, we have the distinctive competencies, we have the sustainable competitive advantage. And when we say we have the sustainable competitive advantage, what happens? We say that it can be easily duplicated by competitors. And you see, like I said, Apple, it's difficult even sometimes for people to hack. Sometimes even to track your IP address and what have you. It is difficult. It is difficult, right? So they are very serious when it comes to those things. So sustainable competitive advantage, it can be easily duplicated by competitors. So core competencies, distinctive competencies, sustainable competitive advantage, and these are very, very important, and that is it. Now, let's look at competitive strategy options. When we look at competitive strategy options, what goes on there? Let's look at that. Competitive strategy options. Competitive strategy options. Cost leadership. The organization strives to have the lowest costs in its industry and produces goods or services for a broad customer base. Note the emphasis on cost, not price. So cost leadership, and then we say that every organization strives to have the lowest. So every organization strives to have the lowest cost in its industry and produce goods or services for a broad customer base. Note the emphasis on costs, not prices. Then we say differentiation. We say that the organization competes on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value, that they perceive as different, and for which they are willing to pay a premium. So of course, leadership will have differentiation. Organization competes on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value, that they perceive as different, and for which they are willing to pay a premium. And then we say focus. Focus, we say, also referred to as niche. Focus, that we also refer to as niche. We say that the organization, does something. And what do we say the organization does? Just a minute, I'm trying to pull this together. Yeah. So cost leadership, we've already discussed cost leadership. And then we say that cost leadership is what? We're saying that cost leadership is just simply an organization strive to have the lowest cost in its industry, but producing goods or services for a broad customer base. And we say that we should emphasize on the costs but not on the prices. Should emphasize on the costs and not on the prices. And so that is very important. And we say differentiation is when the organization competes on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value, that they perceive as different, or for which they are willing to pay a premium. So differentiation is when the organization competes on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value, that they perceive as different, and for which they are willing to pay a premium. Focus. The organization pursues either a cost or differentiation advantage, but in a limited, narrow customer group. A focus strategy concentrates on serving a specific market niche. So the organization competes on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value. Unique goods or services with features that customers value. We say that they perceive as different, and for which they are willing to pay a premium. So that is it. So we have cost leadership, and we say that we lower costs in each industry and produce goods or services for a broad customer base. And we focus on the cost, not the price. That's the cost leadership. Then we look at differentiation. We say that we compete on the basis of providing unique goods or services with features that customers value, that they perceive as different, and for which they are willing to pay a premium. So these are the competitive strategy options: cost leadership, differentiation. We look at focus, and with focus, we say that the organization pursues either a cost or differentiation advantage. So when we talk of focus, we say that the organization pursues a cost or differentiation advantage, and we say that but in a limited, narrow customer group. So we look at the cost differentiation or advantage differentiation, but in a limited, narrow group. A focus strategy concentrates on serving a specific market niche. So we say that cost leadership, differentiation, focus is very, very important. So we have the cost leadership, that is the lower cost. We have differentiation, we have cost focus, and that is lower cost, and then we have focus differentiation. And so we all know that the focus differentiation, we say that the organization pursues either a cost or differentiation advantage. And I will say that we need to sometimes look at the focus. So we have cost leadership, we have differentiation, and then we look at it. Now, okay. So miles and snows strategy types. So miles and snows, they also have their own strategy, and we can consider their strategy as well. So we look at prospector, analyzer, defender, reactor. Prospector, analyzer, defender, and reactor. Let's define these terms. The prospector, we say the firm exhibits continual innovation by finding and exploiting new products and market opportunities. So we say that according to Miles and Snow's strategy. So Miles and Snow's, they also came with their own strategy. And Miles and Snow's strategy was based on these indicators: prospector, analyzer, defender, and reactor. And we are defining them term by term. So with the prospector, Miles and Stone says that anytime we say prospector, we are talking about a firm that exhibits continual innovation by finding and exploiting new product and market opportunities. So we say that the firm exhibits continual innovation by finding and exploiting new products and market opportunities. That is a prospector. So you exhibit continual innovation, you find and exploit new product and market opportunities. That's a prospector. Then we come to the analyzer. The analyzer, the firm relies heavily on analysis and imitation of the successes of other organizations. So the prospector is a firm exhibit continual innovation by finding and exploiting new products and market opportunities. Then the analyzer, the firm relies heavily on analysis and imitation of the successes of other organizations, especially prospectors. Now the defender. So the firm searches for market stability. The firm searches for market stability and production of only a limited product line directed at a narrow market segment. That focus on protecting established staff. So Miles and Snow's strategy types were based on protector, that's the first term, and we said that it's the continual innovation and exploiting new products and market opportunities. Then we look at analyzer, where the firms will rely heavily on analysis and imitation of the successes of other organizations, especially prospectors. Then we come to the defender, and we say that defender is so, like we said, defender is when the firm searches for market stability and production of only a limited product line directed at a narrow market segment, focusing on protecting established staff. So the defender is when the firm searches for market stability and production of only a limited product line directed at a narrow market segment, focusing on protecting established staff. Then we say that the reactor is when the firm lacks any coherent strategic plan or apparent means of effectively competing. Reactors do well to merely survive in the competitive marketplace. So the reactor, we say the firm lacks any coherent strategic plan or apparent means of effectively competing. When the firm does not have any coherent strategic plan or apparent means of effectively competing, but reactors do well to merely survive in the competitive marketplace. So that's a reactor, according to Miles and Snow's strategy. They do well to survive in a competitive marketplace. But we say that the defender focus on protecting, establishing theft. And we say that the analyzer, they rely heavily on analysis and imitation of focusing on other organizations, especially prospectors. I would say a prospector is a firm that exhibits continual innovation by finding and exploiting new products and market opportunities, and that is all that. So the prospector find and exploit new product and market opportunity. That is, the prospector find and exploit new product and market opportunity. The prospector analyze. The prospector relies heavily on analysis and imitation of the successes of other organizations, especially prospectors. And then we say that the defender, so the firm searches for market stability and production of only a limited product line directed at a narrow market segment, focusing on protecting established staff. So they focus on protecting established staff. I said that the reactors, we say that the firm lacks any coherent strategic plan or apparent means of effectively competing. Reactors do well to merely survive in competitive markets, and that is it. Now, situation analysis. We say that the marketing manager must perform a complete situation analysis. The marketing manager must perform a complete situation analysis of the environment within which the marketing plan is being developed. And so, at the macro level, external environmental factors, consideration key is what situation analysis. We need to look at the political, we need to look at the legal and ethical factors. So political, legal, and ethical factors. We look at the social, cultural, and demographic factors. So political, legal, ethical, social, cultural, demographic factors. We look at technological factors. Then we look at economic factors and consider natural factors. So political factors, legal factors, and ethical factors is one. We also consider the social, cultural factors and demographic factors. We also consider the technological, economic, and natural factors. So natural factors must be considered in the situation analysis. The economic factors must be considered in the situation analysis. The technological factors must be considered in the situation analysis. Social, cultural, and demographic will be considered. Political, legal, and ethical will be considered. And I believe that these are more important for situation analysis. Competitive environmental factors. Competitive environmental factors. So, situational analysis, we don't only consider the environmental external factors, we also consider the competitive environmental factors. So, in marketing, we don't only consider what the external environmental factors like political, legal, and ethical does. We don't only consider social, cultural, and demographic, technological, economic, and natural. Anyways, so with the situation analysis, when we say competitive environmental factors, there's a threat of new entrants. Threat of new entrant, there's the rivalry among existing firms. Rivalry among existing firms. There's a threat of substitute products. So threat of new entrant, rivalry among existing firms, there's a threat of substitute product. Then we have the bargaining power of buyers. Then we have the bargaining power of suppliers. So bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of substitute products, rivalry among existing firms, threat of new entrants, and these are all supposed to be considered. So you see that when you go to the market as a new entrant, there's competition. Existing firms already have their own rivalries, and you already know, like I know with this milk powder, there's between Nido and Peak, even with condensed milk, the same. These two, Nido and Peak, they do a lot. And bargaining power, buyers will always try to bargain. They will push based on the value, and they will put in. And suppliers would also make sure that they supply and get what they want to get. Now, the forces driving industry competition. So this is the force that drives industry competition. We've talked about the potential entrants. That is the threat of mobility, the potential entrant. We talk about the supplier power, the buyer power, and threat of substitutes. All are industry competitors, and the industry competitors are in there. So when you draw when you draw, we see that we have the potential entrants, we have the supplier power, buyer power, and then we have the industry competitors. That is in the middle. So the industry competitor is in the middle. The industry competitor is in the middle. We have potential new entrants. We have substitutes, threats of substitutes. Then we have buyer power. So BP, buyer power, have SP, supplier power. So potential entrant, that's PE. And I have the industry competition existing here. Industry competitors here. So that is it. So the PE, threat of mobility. We have the substitutes, TS, threat of substitutes. Then the industry competitors are in the middle. Then we have the supplier power. And these are the driving competition. Now, when we look at the internal analysis, internal environmental factors, when we consider situation analysis, we say within the the internal space. Within the internal space, we say that we have firm resources, we have firm leadership, we have firm culture, we have firm structure and systems. So these are very, very important. These are very, very important. These are very, very important. So we have the firm resources, firm leadership, firm culture, firm structure, and systems. So these are very, very important. And we look at these things. Yeah. So situational analysis, we say internal environmental factors. That goes with situational analysis. We say that the firm structure and systems, the firm structure and systems, the firm culture, what organization culture exists in the firm, what leadership exists in the firm, what resources are available, what resources do the firm depend on in terms of inbound logistics and outbound logistics, in terms of procurement, in terms of human resource. These are very, very key issues when it comes to marketing. So with the internal environmental factors, you look at the firm structure and systems, you look at the firm culture, you look at the firm leadership and resources. Now, in terms of summarizing the situation analysis into the SWOT analysis, which we believe is a strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, we say that a SWOT analysis is a convenient way to summarize key findings into a matrix of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we look at the internal analysis that reviews the strengths and then the weaknesses. And then we look at the external analysis that point to opportunities and threats. So internally, we have our strengths and our weaknesses. Externally, we have our opportunities and threats. And these must be considered anytime that you are doing your marketing analysis. So with that, we say that when, for instance, you look at the internal factors, we have the strengths and then we have the weaknesses. And then we try to merge it with the external factors that has to do with opportunities and threats. That has to do with opportunities and threats. Okay. So with the strengths, with the strengths and opportunities, we say that you generate strategies here that uses strength to take advantage of opportunities. So we generate strategies here that use strength to take advantage of opportunities. So that is when we have the strength and opportunities, interlinking. So we look at strengths that would generate opportunities. And then when it comes to the weakness and opportunities, we say that if you look at your weakness and you look at the opportunities available, you have to generate strategies here that take advantage of the opportunities to overcome your weakness. And that is how it goes. That is how it goes. So you would have the strengths and opportunities. And what you have to do is that you have to generate strategies that will focus on these strengths to take advantage of the. Because if you have opportunities, you have to have strategies to take advantage of this. Now, when you have weaknesses and opportunities, then you have to take advantage of the opportunities here to overcome this. Here, we took advantage of the strength. We took advantage of our strength. We generated strategies around our strength to take advantage of the opportunities. And then here, because it's a WO, there's opportunity, but there are weakness. You look at the opportunities that you have to overcome this. Now, when you come here, so all these are external factors, opportunities and internal. That's one. Here is ST, that is strength and threats. So now you have to generate strategies here that will use the strength to avoid the threats. So you see, and then when you go to the WT, that is the weakness and the threat, you have to generate strategies here that minimizes weaknesses and avoid threats. So you minimize your weakness and avoid threat. And these are very, very important. Okay. Now, additional aspect of marketing planning. Additional aspect of marketing planning. When you look at the additional aspect of marketing planning, we say we perform any needed market research. Perform any needed market research. Establish marketing goals and objectives. we develop marketing strategies, and we say market penetration, product development, market development, diversification. So these are very, very important. Yeah. So that is additional aspect of marketing, additional aspects of marketing planning, additional aspects of marketing planning. You perform any needed market research. Perform any needed market research. Perform any needed market research. We establish marketing goals and objectives. You perform any needed market research. You establish marketing goals and objectives. You develop marketing strategies. So, additional aspect of marketing planning. We say that we perform needed marketing research. We establish marketing goals and objectives. We develop marketing strategies. Now, there should be market penetration. There should be product development. There should be market development, and there should be diversification. So, additional aspect of marketing planning is any needed market research. We have to establish marketing goals and objectives, develop marketing strategies, market penetration, product development, market development, and diversification. Okay. Now, so when you look at the product market combinations, for instance, we have existing products and existing markets. We have new products and new markets. So, for instance, when we look at the market emphasis and the product emphasis, so the product emphasis looks at the existing product and the new product, but the market emphasis look at the new markets, and also considers these existing markets. Okay, now let's look at how it goes. So, if there's an existing market and there's an existing product, the strategy is market penetration. So you see, there's an existing product, there's an existing market. So we need to seek to increase sales of existing product to existing market. So there's market penetration. That is how it goes. That's a product market combination. So existing product, existing market. There should be market. Now there's an existing market and there's a new product. So when there's an existing product and there's a new product, what we have to look at the strategy product development, because there's an existing market and we want to create a new product. So we have to look at the strategy for product development. We have to create growth. We have to create growth by selling new products in existing markets. So we create growth by selling new product in existing market. Now here, we say that we have new markets. So this is the existing markets. Okay, this is the existing markets, and this is the new market. This is the existing market, and this is the new market. This is a new market, and this is the new product. So if there is a new market, and there's an existing product, what there should be strategy of market development. Market development, because this is a new market. So you introduce existing products to the new markets. The existing product should be introduced to the new market. And then here, if it is new market and a new product, we say that strategy diversification. We have to emphasize both the new product and then the new market to achieve both. So there's a new market and then there's a new product. So it's supposed to be diversification, because everything is new. But here it's a new and the products are already existing. So you have to introduce them to the existing markets. So we have strategy market penetration. We have strategy product development. That's when we have an existing market and we want to introduce a new market. You have to do product whatever. But if everything is new, there should be diversification. So these are very important. Now, we say that we add additional aspect of marketing planning is we have to develop implementation plan. So additional aspect of marketing plan is we have to develop implementation plan. That is, we need to consider marketing control. Additional aspect of marketing planning. Additional aspect of marketing planning is we need to develop implementation plan. Additional aspect of marketing planning is developing implementation plans. And we say that we develop contingency plans. So if we develop implementation plan, there should be what we call marketing control. And marketing control is the process of measuring marketing results and adjusting the marketing plan as needed. So marketing control is the process of measuring marketing results and adjusting the marketing plan as needed. Then we say that we forecast and budgets must be provided. Forecasts and budget must be provided. So that's very, very important. And that's how we say we develop implementation plan. And we develop contingency plan. And if you develop a contingency plan, how do you develop a contingency plan? Excuse me. That's my puffer. So it's very important that as we consider aspect of marketing plan, we look at implementation and contingency. Implementation, sometimes we don't apply everything with the fidelity that is supposed to. And at times we can apply it with that flexible or mutual adaptation concept. But if things don't work, there should be a consistent contingency plan. And when you are developing an implementation plan, the marketing control is a process of measuring marketing results and adjusting the marketing plan as needed. Then we also forecast and budgets should be considered in the implementation. So marketing control, we have to measure the result, adjust the marketing plan, and then budget and forecast should be there. But when we do that for the implementation, which would definitely be the marketing control, forecast budgets and resource, whatever, then we look at the contingency, the separate plan for worst case, for best case, and expected case performance against the forecast. So the forecast has already been there in the implementation, but the contingency is a separate plan for the worst case, for the best case, and expected case performance against the forecast. And we say that the forecast and budget must be provided. And if we want to, we want to minimize disruption to the firm's operations, and that's very, very important. Okay. Now, we can also say that there are tips for successful marketing planning. There are tips for successful marketing planning. And we say some of these tips for marketing planning is that we need to stay flexible. We need to utilize input, but don't become paralyzed by information and analysis. So stay flexible, utilize input, but don't become paralyzed by information and analysis. Don't underestimate the implementation part of the plan. We stay strategic, but also stay on top of the tactical. We give yourself and your people room to fail, and you try again. So tips for successful marketing planning is that we stay flexible, you utilize input, but don't become paralyzed by information analysis. Don't underestimate the implementation part of the plan. Stay strategic, but also stay on top of the tactical. Give yourself and your people room to fail and try again. And these are very, 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 very important. So I said everything comes from Margaret Hill because learning changes everything. And this is very important. Thank you and stay blessed.